Andy Warhol's famously said in the future, everyone will be world famous for 15 minutes. People of Reddit who have had their 15 minutes. What was your 15 minutes of fame? Got my wiener stuck in a public pool. That's all. I was left locked in a car as a baby and got a small article in the local newspaper about it. I once had a comment break the 300 upvote mark. It was intoxicating. I became a monster. My family almost left me. They said I had become too much to deal with. Luckily the glory faded and I returned to my 3 upvote norm. Almost lost it all due to upvotes. Be warned. Was gonna upvote, but don't want you to relapse. Stay strong. My brother, during a high school wrestling match, taunted Ric Flair's son after the winning move in Triple Ot with a woo-woo and strut. Started a brawl which included Mr. Flair wrestling MSG boards at the time. Hated my bro and the story made it into a Sports Illustrated. How could you not woo-woo after beating Ric Flair's son in wrestling? I don't blame your brother at all. A few years ago I made a website where you could mail people a bag of dicks anonymously. That seemed to get a lot of attention. Earlier this year our pet pig accidentally went viral after he wasn't welcome to walk in our town anymore. People got so riled up we ended up on every national news program in the country as well as 2 live morning shows. I can say with certainty that those 15 minutes of fame were ones in which I realized I never want to be famous. We still get recognized. I was in I don't know what it is called in English, but it is sort of a roller coaster where you go upside down, and I got stuck in the seat, so my head was in the seat, but the rest of my body was not. Someone made a video of it and uploaded it to YouTube. I think it is funny because it ended well and I did not get hurt. Got a post to the front page and now I know Reddit has a weird fetish to fuck Danny DeVito and the Queen of England. Instantly gets turned on. I masturbated in my high school bathroom. Some kid made a video peeking over the stall. Went around to all 4 grades. Made me a celebrity. I was a suicide girl in a horror movie where I killed myself. There is a specific popular YouTuber whose videos I watch occasionally. Every time I comment on her videos, my comment gets 13k plus likes, and I have no idea why. When my wife and I were on TLC's Strange 6. What did you do? Talked about stuff that some people think is strange when it comes to sex. I was on the top 20 bronze leaderboard on Duolingo. I got robbed when I worked at a servo once and beat the robber up. Was in the paper and the police said they were using the footage for their Christmas party video compilation. I love the idea of the video compilation. I was in Paris with a couple of friends and there was a girl doing soccer tricks in a park. No one could steal the ball from her. I thought it would be a good idea to go and try. I got nutmegged and found out later that she had 1.7 million followers on Insta and that I had appeared on her newest video. It was and still is funny to this very day. I was on a date and had her do look out for me. There's a house on a corner in my city that used to belong to an Islamic scholar / numerologist. He was assassinated for editing the Quran, so it would work better with his numerological models in the days of the Bible / Torah codes. Anywho, the house has always had happiness's submission to God painted on the side. I spray painted Zilla at the end. My date didn't notice that I had done it and I pointed to my handiwork, happiness's submission to Godzilla. #1 on dig for a minute. Years later, I was at a friend's house and used the restroom. In his bathroom was a photo of my graffiti on that house. I painted murals for decades, spent weeks on them, and my best work took seconds. There was a long 2-floor apartment complex, guessing 20 apartments total, behind our house. Some sort of tornado-ish event came through one night and picked the roof up off of that building and dropped it in our backyard. Locals News did live broadcasts from the backyard for a couple of nights, and I was the mandatory redneck on TV with messed up hair and his shirt on inside out saying it sounded like a train. Not me, but my brother had a video go viral of him and some fellow Marines singing along to Let It Go from Frozen. I lost on Jeopardy. I got hit by an 18-wheel truck going 65 miles per hour as a pedestrian. I broke the tibial bone in my leg to the point where it was sticking through the skin, broke the radial bone in my arm, suffered a deflated lung, punctured kidney and was put into a coma that I was given a 20% chance of coming out of. The shape I would be in if I came out of the coma was debatable as well. They weren't sure if I'd be a vegetable, mentally challenged, or confined to a wheelchair. Fortunately I survived, with the only lingering side effects being a rod in my leg where my right tibial bone used to be, and floaters in my vision. I'm very fortunate to have made it through that in one piece. Hey everyone, check out Sonic here going 65 miles per hour on foot. As a kid, I participated in a national contest which was looking for a solution for worldwide poverty. I submitted that we should send less people to space, because that costs a lot of money. I won and an article with photograph reached the national newspaper. I just recently posted a photo of a cat captioned cat, and it has 2k upvotes, if that counts. I won $5,000 and a lawnmower on The Price is Right. Come on down and mow my lawn. I won a 2008 Impala back in 2007. First year with Drew. You don't just drive off with the car, you have to first wait until the show airs. If the show never airs, they aren't obligated to give you the prizes. A few months later, on the day it aired, I got a call from a dealership out in Irvine. They told me what colors they had. I got a ride down there and paid $2,200 in sales tax on a credit card and drove it home. Still drive it today. When I was 9, I wrote a letter to the editor of the local paper about how gross the local park was. A city councilman swooped in and cleaned up the park and got new equipment. I was in multiple newspaper articles, radio, and TV interviews, got to ride with Santa in the town Christmas parade, and for 5 years after that, was asked to light the Christmas tree at the park every year. I peaked early, as this was my only accomplishment in life. I was in a lawsuit with Kanye West for the cryptocurrency Coin that I was a developer for in 2014. Miss Collins retweeted one of my tweets and followed me for like 2 weeks, then he unfollowed me. This reminded me, a few years back I had a pretty popular Tumblr dedicated to the supernatural gifs I obsessively made. Got close to 90k followers in a couple years. Met a new girl at work who casually says she really liked Supernatural. I mentioned that I had a Tumblr, and when I told her the name she flipped. Apparently I was her favorite blog. I felt like a famous person for all of 5 seconds. Everyone at my job was evacuated and eventually had to go home. A reporter on site asked me what the scope danger was, and I replied I dunno. I got to go home and pet my cat. They use the clip. I like your priorities there, Charlie. I recreated What's My Age Again by Blink-182 in GTA V. It took off immediately and ended up on dozens of news sites like Entertainment Weekly, Huffington Post, and even Rolling Stone. The band also posted it on their Facebook page, which led to it trending. When I was in high school I made a playlist on YouTube of grunge music. I made it a public playlist, even though it was just for my own listening. Turns out, the playlist gets millions of views, and I even had bands from around the world contact me to put their music in my playlist. It fizzled out after a few years, but every now and again I remember messaging bands back and forth asking why they thought they belonged in my playlist. Meanwhile my dumbus was like 16 at the time, lol. Not me, but my grandmother was briefly ranked as the 6th best player on the global leaderboards for Bejeweled Blitz. My grandfather has 6 top 100 Clash of Clans accounts. Freaking nerd I. There goes your inheritance. I took my kid to Europe and she slept everywhere, asleep in every single photo, so I took her picture with strangers, police officers, soldiers, a waiter, a bride, couple of dogs. The photo series was pretty popular on a few travel pages. When I was in 1st grade, I got 1st place in a reading contest at school. The grand prize was a $100 Borders gift card, and the top 5 readers got to pie the principal in the face. The other 4 kids seemed too scared to properly pie the principal, barely touching his nose before dropping the pie. Then it was my turn. I slammed that pie into his face and broke the principal's nose. I ended up on the front page of our small town newspaper, and the principal was in a dunk tank the next year, lol. Edit, BTW. I was panicking a bit afterwards, because this happened on stage, during a school assembly. Edit 2. To everyone asking me if I'm from their hometown, this happened about 22 years ago in Shelton, Washington. I read the last part as drunk tank. I thought you put him into a downward spiral of alcoholism. They shot a commercial for immunization at my daycare when I was about 4 early 80s. I distinctly remember the day as we all got to pick funny hats and I was pissed BC I ended up with a giant red cowboy hat, Alberta, and everyone else had cooler hats. Commercial came out and it's just me with my ridiculous giant hat. They would recycle the commercial every couple years and all through junior high and high school I'd inevitably get someone saying I know you from somewhere, as I looked pretty much the same as my 4 self. I'd let them sort it out on their own and wait a couple days before they'd come running up yelling back you're that kid from the commercial. I tried desperately to get a copy of it from the Alberta government for my wedding a couple years ago, but they couldn't find it, despite some very amused and helpful staff. Thank you all for listening to my wonderful voice. You really are a great audience. If you are new to this channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can keep up to date when my sheet drops.